Long before the Petraeus scandal surfaced last Friday, his mistress, Paula Broadwell, appeared on CNN to talk about her new book about the retired U.S. Army general. And she talked about her relationship with him.
Well, this project started as my dissertation about 3 years ago, and I was working with General Petraeus virtually, doing interviews via email and occasionally running with him and interviewing. And when he was selected by the president to replace General McChrystal in the summer of 2010, I decided the time was right to turn it into a book. And so I got a visa, I went to Afghanistan. I actually went on a few trips and embedded both with the troopers in the field, but also at headquarters. And at some point, I think he realized I was taking this research very seriously. I was sharing hardship with the troops and risk and so forth, and decided to open up a little bit more access. But we had a relationship before I went there as far as this dissertation was concerned, so it just took it to another level.
So I want to ask you about something very specifically. You write in your book that Petraeus almost resigned, Paula almost resigned in Afghanistan over President Obama's withdrawal timetable. Is friction the right word here? I mean, why so much friction between these two men?
Well, there was a misunderstanding in that headline, Brooke. Actually, he was urged to quit after the decision was made by the president to draw down the troops on a certain timeline. Several of his mentors and friends sent him emails or consulted with him and said, this is egregious. The fast drawdown puts our troops and our mission at risk. We risk losing everything that we've gained. Petraeus didn't feel it was that egregious. He felt that what the president had decided was implementable. In fact, he turned right around, went home, and got on a video teleconference and spoke to the troopers in Afghanistan and said, we will execute. So there was friction, I think, in that he had made recommendations. The president asked him for another recommendation. He went back to his troops in Afghanistan, some senior leaders, a very small group actually, and came back with another recommendation that he felt was viable. So there was tension, but I think, if anything, it was healthy tension. The National Security Council and the president's national security team should debate these issues. There's a lot at stake, but there are wider issues for consideration beyond the war in Afghanistan. The economy, many other factors came into the president's decision-making. So one thing we really show in the book is the arc of their relationship over time. In 2009, I would say it was the military versus the White House. That was the perception, anyhow, in some open sources. But the military leaders didn't feel like they were boxing in the president. And I think what the president has learned, and the administration has learned, is that really we're all in. On a broader scale, listen, this is a book about strategic leadership. It's also a war chronicle. It's Petraeus' intellectual history, but what I wanted to show, and what the interest is it's generating, is in executive leadership. Leadership on the line, leading through crisis. I think Petraeus gives us a great model for that. I'm not a spokesperson for him, and if, showing a role model to other people in the world or other readers is a repugnant thing, then I'm sorry, but I think the values that he upholds and tries to instill in his organizations are valuable and worth pointing out.
Paula Broadwell, by the way, spent a year with General Petraeus in Afghanistan interviewing him for that book.